Chapter 5 of the Sayings of Lao Tzu by Lao Tzu. Government. Not exalting worth keeps the people from rivalry. Not prizing what is hard to procure keeps the people from theft. Not to show them what they may covet is the way to keep their minds from disorder. Therefore the sage, when he governs, empties their minds and fills their bellies, weakens their inclinations and strengthens their bones. His constant object is to keep the people without knowledge and without desire, or to prevent those who have knowledge from daring to act. He practices inaction, and nothing remains ungoverned. He who respects the state as his own person is fit to govern it. He who loves the state as his own body is fit to be entrusted with it. In the highest antiquity, the people did not know that they had rulers. In the next age, they loved and praised them. In the next, they feared them. In the next, they despised them. How cautious is the sage, how sparing of his words! When his task is accomplished and affairs are prosperous, the people all say, "We have come to be as we are, naturally and of ourselves." If anyone desires to take the empire in hand and govern it, I see that he will not succeed. The empire is a divine utensil which may not be roughly handled. He who meddles mars. He who holds it by force loses it. Fishes must not be taken from the water. The methods of government must not be exhibited to the people. Use uprightness in ruling a state. Employ indirect methods in waging war. Practice non-interference in order to win the empire. Now this is how I know what I lay down. As restrictions and prohibitions are multiplied in the empire, the people grow poorer and poorer. When the people are subjected to overmuch government, the land is thrown into confusion. When the people are skilled in many cunning arts, strange are the objects of luxury that appear. The greater the number of laws and enactments, the more thieves and robbers there will be. Therefore, the sage says, "So long as I do nothing, the people will work out their own reformation. So long as I love calm, the people will right themselves. If only I keep from meddling, the people will grow rich. If only I am free from desire, the people will come naturally back to simplicity. If the government is sluggish and inert, the people will be honest and free from guile. If the government is prying and meddling, the people will be discontented. Is it realized that the ultimate ideal is absence of government? Otherwise, the straight will become the crooked, and the good will revert to evil. Verily, mankind have been under delusion for many a day. Govern a great nation as you would cook a small fish. If the empire is governed according to Tao, disembodied spirits will not manifest supernatural powers. It is not that they lack supernatural power, but they will not use it to hurt mankind. Again, it is not that they are unable to hurt mankind, but they see that the sage also does not hurt mankind. If then neither sage nor spirits work harm, their virtue converges to one beneficent end. In ancient times, those who knew how to practice Tao did not use it to enlighten the people, but rather to keep them ignorant. The difficulty of governing the people arises from their having too much knowledge. If the people do not have to fear the majesty of the law, a greater majesty will take its place. Do not confine them within too narrow bounds. Do not make their lives too weary. For if you do not weary them of life, then they will not grow weary of you. If the people do not fear death, what good is there in using death as a deterrent? But if the people are brought up in fear of death, regarding it as something unusual, and we can take and execute them, which of us will dare to do it? Now, there is always one who presides over the infliction of death. The man who would take his place and himself inflict death is like one who should try to do the work of a master carpenter. And of those who try the work of a master carpenter, there are few who do not cut their own hands. The people starve because those in authority over them devour too many taxes. That is why they starve. The people are difficult to govern because those placed over them are meddlesome. That is why they are difficult to govern. The people despise death because of their excessive labor in seeking the means of life. That is why they despise death. A sage has said, "He who can take upon himself the nation's shame is fit to be lord of the land. He who can take upon himself the nation's calamities is fit to be ruler over the empire." Were I a ruler of a little state with a small population, and only 10 or 100 men available as soldiers, I would not use them. I would have the people look on death as a grievous thing, and they should not travel to distant countries. Though they might possess boats and carriages, they should have no occasion to ride in them. Though they might own weapons and armor, they should have no need to use them. I would make the people return to the use of knotted cords. They should find their plain food sweet, their rough garments fine. They should be content with their homes and happy in their simple ways. If a neighboring state was within sight of mine, nay, if we were close enough to hear the crowing of each other's cocks and the barking of each other's dogs, the two peoples should grow old and die without there ever having been any mutual intercourse. End of Government. Chapter 6 of the Sayings of Lao Tzu by Lao Tzu. War. He who serves a ruler of men in harmony with Tao will not subdue the empire by force of arms. Such a course is wont to bring retribution in its train. Where troops have been quartered, brambles and thorns spring up. In the track of great armies there must follow lean years. The good man wins a victory and then stops. He will not go on to acts of violence. Winning, he boasteth not. He will not triumph. He shows no arrogance. He wins because he cannot choose. After his victory, he will not be overbearing. Weapons, however beautiful, are instruments of ill omen, hateful to all creatures. Therefore, he who has Tao will have nothing to do with them. Where the princely man abides, the weak left hand is in honor. But he who uses weapons honors the stronger right. Weapons are instruments of ill omen. They are not the instruments of the princely man, who uses them only when he needs must. Peace and tranquillity are what he prizes. When he conquers, he is not elate. To be elate were to rejoice in the slaughter of human beings, and he who rejoices in the slaughter of human beings is not fit to work his will in the empire. On happy occasions the left is favored, on sad occasions the right. The second in command has his place on the left, the general in chief on the right. That is to say, they are placed in the order observed at funeral rites, and, indeed, he who has exterminated a great multitude of men should bewail them with tears and lamentation. It is well that those who are victorious in battle should be placed in the order of funeral rites. A certain military commander used to say, "I dare not act the host. I prefer to play the guest. I dare not advance an inch. I prefer to retreat a foot." There is no greater calamity than lightly engaging in war. Lightly to engage in war is to risk the loss of our treasure. When opposing warriors join in battle, he who has pity conquers. End of War. Chapter 7 of the Sayings of Lao Tzu by Lao Tzu. Paradoxes. Among mankind, the recognition of beauty as such implies the idea of ugliness, and the recognition of good implies the idea of evil. There is the same mutual relation between existence and non-existence in the matter of creation, between difficulty and ease in the matter of accomplishing, between long and short in the matter of form, between high and low in the matter of elevation, between treble and bass in the matter of musical pitch, between before and after in the matter of priority. Nature is not benevolent. She treats all created things like the straw dogs we use at sacrifices. The sage is not benevolent. He looks upon the people in the same way. The space between heaven and earth, is it not like a bellows? It is empty, yet inexhaustible. When it puts in motion, more and more comes out. Heaven and earth are long-lasting. The reason why heaven and earth can last long is that they live not for themselves, and thus they are able to endure. 30 spokes unite in one nave. The utility of the cart depends on the hollow center in which the axle turns. Clay is molded into a vessel. The utility of the vessel depends on its hollow interior. Doors and windows are cut out in order to make a house. The utility of the house depends on the empty spaces. Thus, while the existence of things may be good, it is the non-existent in them which makes them serviceable. When the great Tao falls into disuse, benevolence and righteousness come into vogue. When shrewdness and sagacity appear, great hypocrisy prevails. It is when the bonds of kinship are out of joint that filial piety and paternal affection begin. It is when the state is in a ferment of revolution that loyal patriots arise. Cast off your holiness, rid yourself of sagacity, and the people will benefit 100-fold. Discard benevolence and abolish righteousness, and the people will return to filial piety and paternal love. Renounce your scheming and abandon gain, and thieves and robbers will disappear. These 3 precepts mean that outward show is insufficient, and therefore they bid us to be true to our proper nature, to show simplicity, to embrace plain dealing, to reduce selfishness, to moderate desire. A variety of colors makes man's eye blind. A diversity of sounds makes man's ear deaf. A mixture of flavors makes man's palate dull. He who knows others is clever, but he who knows himself is enlightened. He who overcomes others is strong, but he who overcomes himself is mightier still. He is rich who knows when he has enough. He who acts with energy has strength of purpose. He who moves not from his proper place is long-lasting. He who dies, but perishes not, enjoys true longevity. If you would contract, you must first expand. If you would weaken, you must first strengthen. If you would overthrow, you must first raise up. If you would take, you must first give. This is called obscuring one's light. He who is most perfect seems to be lacking, yet his resources are never outworn. He who is most full seems vacant, yet his uses are inexhaustible. Extreme straightness is as bad as crookedness. Extreme cleverness is as bad as folly. Extreme fluency is as bad as stammering. Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know. Abandon learning, and you will be free from trouble and distress. Failure is the foundation of success, and the means by which it is achieved. Success is the lurking place of failure, but who can tell when the turning point will come? He who acts destroys. He who grasps loses. Therefore, the sage does not act, and so does not destroy. He does not grasp, and so he does not lose. Only he who does nothing for his life's sake can truly be said to value his life. Man at his birth is tender and weak. At his death he is rigid and strong. Plants and trees, when they come forth, are tender and crisp. When dead, they are dry and tough. Thus rigidity and strength are the concomitants of death. Softness and weakness are the concomitants of life. Hence the warrior that is strong does not conquer. The tree that is strong is cut down. Therefore, the strong and the big take the lower place. The soft and the weak take the higher place. There is nothing in the world more soft and weak than water. Yet for attacking things that are hard and strong, there is nothing that surpasses it, nothing that can take its place. The soft overcomes the hard, the weak overcomes the strong. There is no one in the world but knows this truth, and no one who can put it into practice. Those who are wise have no wide range of learning. Those who range most widely are not wise. The sage does not care to hoard. The more he uses for the benefit of others, the more he possesses himself. The more he gives to his fellow men, the more he has of his own. The truest sayings are paradoxical. End of Paradoxes. Chapter 8 of the Sayings of Lao Tzu by Lao Tzu. Miscellaneous Sayings and Precepts. By many words wit is exhausted. It is better to retain what is in the heart. The excellence of a dwelling is its site. The excellence of a mind is its profundity. The excellence of giving is charitableness. The excellence of speech is truthfulness. The excellence of government is order. The excellence of action is ability. The excellence of movement is timeliness. He who grasps more than he can hold would be better without any. If a house is crammed with treasures of gold and jade, it will be impossible to guard them all. He who prides himself upon wealth and honor hastens his own downfall. He who strikes with a sharp point will not himself be safe for long. By uniting the intelligent and animal souls, and embracing unity, can you avoid dissolution? By concentrating your breath and striving to make it soft, can you become like a little child? By purifying your spiritual vision, can you become without a flaw? The sage attends to the inner and not to the outer. He puts away the objective and holds to the subjective. Between yes and yea, how small the difference! Between good and evil, how great the difference! What the world reverences may not be treated with disrespect. He who has not faith in others shall find no faith in them. To see oneself is to be clear of sight. Mighty is he who conquers himself. He who raises himself on tiptoe cannot stand firm. He who stretches his legs wide apart cannot walk. Racing and hunting excite man's heart to madness. The struggle for rare possessions drives a man to actions injurious to himself. The heavy is the foundation of the light. Repose is the ruler of unrest. The wise prince in his daily course never departs from gravity and repose. Though he possesses a gorgeous palace, he will dwell therein with calm indifference. How should the lord of a myriad chariots conduct himself with levity in the empire? Levity loses men's hearts. Unrest loses the throne. The skilful traveler leaves no tracks. The skilful speaker makes no blunders. The skilful reckoner uses no tallies. He who knows how to shut uses no bolts, yet you cannot open. He who knows how to bind uses no cords, yet you cannot undo. Among men reject none. Among things reject nothing. This is called comprehensive intelligence. The good man is the bad man's teacher. The bad man is the material upon which the good man works. If the one does not value his teacher, if the other does not love his material, then despite their sagacity they must go far astray. This is a mystery of great import. As unwrought materials divided up and made into serviceable vessels, so the sage turns his simplicity to account, and thereby becomes the ruler of rulers. The course of things is such that what was in front is now behind. What was hot is now cold. What was strong is now weak. What was complete is now in ruin. Therefore, the sage avoids excess, extravagance, and grandeur. Which is nearer to you, fame or life? Which is more to you, life or wealth? Which is the greater malady, gain or loss? Excessive ambitions necessarily entail great sacrifice. Much hoarding must be followed by heavy loss. He who knows when he has enough will not be put to shame. He who knows when to stop will not come to harm. Such a man can look forward to long life. There is no sin greater than yielding to ambition, no calamity greater than discontent, no vice greater than covetousness. He who has known the contentment of being contented will always be content. Do not wish to be rare like jade, or common like stone. The sage has no hard and fast ideas, but he shares the ideas of the people and makes them his own. Living in the world, he has the appearance of timidity, and for the world's sake keeps his mind in a state of flux. The people all fix their eyes and ears upon him. The sage looks upon all as his children. I have heard that he who possesses the secret of life when traveling abroad will not flee from rhinoceros or tiger. When entering a hostile camp, he will not equip himself with sword or buckler. The rhinoceros finds in him no place to insert its horn. The tiger has nowhere to fasten its claw. The soldier has nowhere to thrust his blade. And why? Because he has no spot where death can enter. To see small beginnings is clearness of sight. To rest in weakness is strength. He who knows how to plant shall not have his plant uprooted. He who knows how to hold a thing shall not have it taken away. Sons and grandsons will worship at his shrine, which shall endure from generation to generation. Knowledge of harmony is the secret of the unchanging. Knowledge of the unchanging means enlightenment. To increase life is of evil omen. The mind directing the vital force is strength. The sage is square but not angular, strict without injuring others, straightforward but not unrestrained, luminous but not dazzling. Good words shall gain you honor in the marketplace, but good deeds shall gain you friends among men. To the good I would be good. To the not good I would also be good, in order to make them good. With the faithful I would keep faith. With the unfaithful I would also keep faith, in order that they may become faithful. Even if a man is bad, how can it be right to cast him off? Requite injury with kindness. The difficult things of this world must once have been easy. The great things of this world must once have been small. Set about difficult things while they are still easy. Do great things while they are still small. The sage never affects to do anything great, and therefore he is able to achieve his great results. He who always thinks things easy is sure to find them difficult. Therefore, the sage ever anticipates difficulties, and thus it is he never encounters them. While times are quiet, it is easy to take action. Ere coming troubles have cast their shadows, it is easy to lay plans. That which is brittle is easily broken. That which is minute is easily dissipated. Take precautions before the evil appears. Regulate things before disorder has begun. The tree which needs 2 arms to span its girth sprang from the tiniest shoot. Yon tower, 9 stories high, rose from a little mound of earth. A journey of 1,000 miles began with a single step. A great principle cannot be divided. Therefore, it is that many containers cannot contain it. The sage knows what is in him, but makes no display. He respects himself, but seeks not honor for himself. To know, but to be as though not knowing, is the height of wisdom. Not to know, and yet to affect knowledge, is a vice. If we regard this vice as such, we shall escape it. The sage has not this vice. It is because he regards it as a vice that he escapes it. Use the light that is in you to revert to your natural clearness of sight. Then the loss of the body is unattended by calamity. This is called doubly enduring. In the management of affairs, people constantly break down just when they are nearing a successful issue. If they took as much care at the end as at the beginning, they would not fail in their enterprises. He who lightly promises is sure to keep but little faith. He whose boldness leads him to venture will be slain. He who is brave enough not to venture will live. Of these two, one has the benefit, the other has the hurt. But who is it that knows the real cause of heaven's hatred? This is why the sage finds it difficult to act. The violent and stiff-necked die not by a natural death. True words are not fine. Fine words are not true. The good are not contentious. The contentious are not good. This is the way of heaven, which benefits and injures not. This is the way of the sage, in whose actions there is no element of strife. End of Miscellaneous Sayings and Precepts. Chapter 9 of the Sayings of Lao Tzu by Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu on himself. Alas! The barrenness of the age has not yet reached its limit. All men are radiant with happiness, as if enjoying a great feast, as if mounted on a tower in spring. I alone am still, and give as yet no sign of joy. I am like an infant which has not yet smiled. Forlorn is one who has nowhere to lay his head. Other men have plenty, while I alone seem to have lost all. I am a man foolish in heart, dull and confused. Other men are full of light. I alone seem to be in darkness. Other men are alert. I alone am listless. I am unsettled as the ocean, drifting as though I had no stopping place. All men have their usefulness. I alone am stupid and clownish. Lonely though I am, and unlike other men, yet I revere the foster mother, Tao. My words are very easy to understand, very easy to put into practice, yet the world can neither understand nor practice them. My words have a clue, my actions have an underlying principle. It is because men do not know the clue that they understand me not. Those who know me are but few, and on that account my honor is the greater. Thus the sage wears coarse garments, but carries a jewel in his bosom. End of Lao Tzu on himself. End of the Sayings of Lao Tzu by Lao Tzu,